Thanks, listeners, for joining us. It is always fantastic to visit in studio with today's guest. It's time for our monthly update from the Terrace at Ruby View Elko Senior and Active Lifestyle Center with Director Matt McCarty. Matt, it's great. And look at your fun tie. You've got the best collection, I swear.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Lori. I appreciate it. It is always good to be here. We always appreciate the warm welcome that we get, and of course the invitation for us to be able to share the good news about the senior center, our senior population, and just to be able to visit to, about things in our community anyways.
Oh, well, it's so fun because I know I'm talking to among the most optimistic people, and they have given so much to the community. So it's great to give back. And here we sit today and talking about just how busy the summer has been. I was looking over notes here and how many meals were served. You were just shy of 6,000.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Just literally, I think one meal, right? I think it was 5,999 meals, and that wasn't a fake number. I promise. That's what comes right out of our system. And yeah, it is amazing what we're able to do.
Yeah. And we should mention too that it's not obviously just the only thing, but these congregate meals are really what bring a lot of the community together. The meals cost about $8.17 each. You get in return about $2.64 per meal in meal donations. So, people could give a little more if they could, but obviously these meals are made available to seniors at low cost or no cost for a reason.
That's right. Absolutely. And especially with the cost of everything going up, it seems, many of our members are on fixed incomes, whether that's because of a retirement, whether that's because of positions that they held that didn't have retirement and they're solely dependent upon Social Security. It is a very fixed income. And so we have a suggested donation of $3 for folks that come into the dining room. But for those that are 60 and over, we don't, it's not a pay. You don't give us $3 and then we give you a ticket or give you a meal. There's a box and it's completely anonymous of what you're donating and how much is being donated. And so we don't tell folks that you have to pay $3. It is that suggested donation. And we also do tell folks that their ability to get a nutritious meal is not dependent upon their ability to pay. We don't ask them what their income is. There is a portion of the form that the state sends us that does ask income, but we don't require that. We don't log that on our side. And we don't even log the donations that come in, which kind of gets a little tricky sometimes, especially with our folks that are on Meals on Wheels. They'll send money in and then they'll call a week later and say, hey, can I get a receipt for that? And we don't know what you gave. We don't track it. We take all the money and it just goes into the deposit.
So there you go. It's important that people know because a lot of contributions come in, especially this time of year. The holidays approaching, and there are a lot of generous entities, whether individuals, families, civic groups, and organizations. And just know that every dollar does count when it comes to our seniors and the programs that are being supported, especially, as you said, Meals on Wheels and the food that's served in the dining room. So absolutely.
And we, you were talking about the generosity of our community. We're not prepared to divulge everything. But just this morning, I stopped by an attorney's office and they handed me a very sizable check. Well, the check itself was kind of normal, but the amount was quite sizable.
Is that why you were floating in here?
And so it was very generous. We'll have more information on that, but this came from as a bequest, part of someone's estate. They had passed, and this was where they had wanted their part of their money to go, and it was amazing. And I literally was walking out of the attorney's office when I got an email from the state, and we had submitted a grant for some additional equipment and for part of the kitchen repair and the garage that we had also done. And so we had submitted that a number of months ago, and we got good news on that. They funded it at 100%, which was about $200,000. So it was we are very blessed today. We really appreciate the generosity of folks that are around us and the generosity of the state to be able to recognize that we do have an important mission, and what we're doing with the money they provide, we feel is pretty responsible, and it appears that they would agree as well. And so we're really thankful for that. This will give us some more equipment in the kitchen to be able to continue to grow and to provide for more meals.
Matt McCarty is director of the Terrace at Ruby View. That is great. Thanks for sharing that exciting news with us. I think it just gives us all, great courage and heart to know that, even when things get tough, around the country, around the world, we can look toward each other and think about ways that we can make a difference in our community. So that's great, Matt. Thank you so much for sharing that news. I want to make sure we get to what's on your list there's always so much to talk about with the Terrace at Ruby View, and I know you have a board meeting coming up on Monday.
We do. We have a board meeting on Monday, and everyone is welcome to attend to our board meetings. There are times where we discuss things that are board specific, and so we'll wait till the end of the meeting and we'll excuse everyone, and then the board will have their discussions that they do. But no, anybody is welcome to come. This upcoming board meeting, we're going to be talking a little bit about where we are on the requests that came in, what the board would like to do with that money, how we are with the wrap up of the kitchen remodel. The kitchen remodel is great. If you haven't come by and seen the dining room or, join us for lunch and then peeked into the kitchen, please let us know. We'd be happy to show it off. We're really proud of it. And so we'll also be talking about a fairly serious, but also some exciting potential for the Elko Senior Center. The reality is that we're landlocked, and we can expand into a couple of other directions for the building, but we can't do anything more for our parking. Our parking is really what is a serious concern right now. And so at the last meeting in September, I asked the board to start the initial plans of what does a 5-year capital improvement plan look like. In reality, we are going to need to invest serious money to expand and try to resolve our parking area or consider a new location. And so it's exciting. It's kind of scary at the same time, but this is just the point of where we're at. We are averaging about 100 people a day in our dining room. We can fit 132. And there are days where we're seeing 150 or 160 coming in. And those are big days, but our goal is to continue to grow. And if we continue to grow, where do we put people? It's quite reasonable that well before 5 years is up, we will be beyond our capacity. So if we start looking now, if we start seeing to the future, what is it that we need? What is it that we want? And how do we grow responsibly? So that'll be a discussion coming up on Monday's board visit as well.
Wow, and all I can think about is when the terrace was built, how much pride went in, how much support at the time, how those visionaries took this location from Howard's on the Hill, the old restaurant, which, that's been torn down. It was old in the beginning. They would be so proud, Matt, that you're on this doorstep because that's all they ever envisioned was maybe outgrowing the space because we're all up and comers.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. And that was one of the things that I started our my pitch to the board with was the building is 23 years old. And one of the board members says, well, what does that have to do with anything? And I said, well, that means that the people that came before us, the founders of this location built wisely enough and responsibly enough that it took us 23, 24, 25 years to come to capacity. That's the type of vision we need to be looking at. Where do we want to be in 25 years? Maybe in 50 years? How large of a building can we responsibly build that still allows for either expansion or to allow us to be smart with our money so that we don't have large overhead to allow us to continue to put money aside for future growth when that time comes. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and speaking, we can spend some more time in the coming months and even years, Matt, because we know that, the history of senior centers actually originated from welfare type programs, but that is so far from the reality now. People have embraced and lifted up and invested in. This is an important piece of our society and our community is our senior centers. The Terrace at Ruby View reflects that.
Yep, absolutely. And that's a great thing that you bring up because I think it is important to look at the history of how did we get to where we are. And in the 50s and early 60s, what society found and what the government found is that our older Americans were not receiving the care from their families that historically had happened. Additionally, medicine and healthy eating habits and healthy environments had allowed people to start living longer. Those kind of all came together to recognize that our older Americans weren't being taken care of. And so the Older Americans Act was passed, and that specifically said we need to start feeding our elderly, and we need to start giving them opportunities to be engaged socially. Around that is where senior centers started popping up, because that gave an opportunity for people to come socialize with their friends, with their neighbors, with their cohorts, with a group of their peers, and be able to express and share common experiences that oftentimes generationally don't come together as well, and while at the same time receiving a nutritious meal. So thank you for saying that, because that's why senior centers exist. And now in our situation, we are very blessed in that we have a very healthy, thriving, vibrant senior population that comes to our centers, and it's great to see. In fact, I mentioned off air that we had a little bit of a fender bender, and it took me a little minute, to help put the fender back on and then tape it up. But we were loading up somebody's car for the pantry, the free food pantry that we'll touch on in a minute. And we didn't hear it so much as we kind of had seen that, the gentleman had hit it and then had continued driving. And one of our volunteers, he's 70 plus, he said, he put the bag down that he was holding. He says, that guy just drove off. I've got to go chase him down. And I said, no, Mr. Dawson, you help here. I'll go chase him down.
They didn't know.
But at 70 years old, he was ready to go chase down the person that he thought was a hit and run. And they were stopping. They were just pulling out of the way, but we couldn't see that from our vantage point. But at 70 years old, he was ready to go chase down what he thought was something that wasn't appropriate. And that's what he said. He said, if I see something that's not right, I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something. And that's the type of people that are indicative of who comes up to the senior center. So many times people are like, oh, I'm not that old to come to the senior center. We have, and I've said this so many times, we have a 93-year-old that leads our Tai Chi class. You're never too old. Come down, and there's all kinds of things for people to be able to do, activities galore.
And take pride and take ownership, become engaged in civics in your community. Whether it is you want to know more about your own personal situation, Medicare, Medicaid, insurance moving forward, all those different aspects of healthy living. But at the same time, this group, they're involved in politics in the community. They talk about local issues. They get involved and engaged. And that's why you can see moving forward that this center is growing, Matt, because this is how much people care.
That's right. Absolutely. And our senior population is growing.
Yes.
As a community grows, even though Elko County is one of the youngest per capita in the state, we still have growing, seniors. The amount of number of seniors is growing, and we want to make sure that we're there. And all of us at some point are hopefully going to attain the age of 60 and better. So we want to make sure that maybe I'm just doing it selfishly. I want to be able to have something that I'm really comfortable when I get there too.
I'll totally admit that. That's fine. Yeah, it's only as good as we make it. So yeah, definitely want folks to have something to look forward to. And this is a perfect example of that. So I know you've got some things coming up, like a chance to get flu shots and boosters next Wednesday, the 18th.
And it was next Wednesday, the 18th. However, we did have to change it. So it was actually this past Monday and Tuesday. So unfortunately, if you have not made it, you're not going to be able to get it at the center in October. But we are still working with Immunize Nevada for a November flu clinic and potentially a COVID-19 clinic as well.
Okay. That explains why when I went to Albertsons, they said no.
Yep, we had some hiccups.
Okay.
And we had this was a newer partner. They were not anticipating what we had for a volume. They had asked for 10 people, and when I left, I went out of town for a few days, and when I left Thursday, I think we had updated them, and there were more than 60. And I said, be prepared for probably 80 plus. And they weren't quite as prepared and then how they were trying to manage it just was not something that worked well with how we usually have a flow of things. It took us some time to get through. I know there were some people that were not able to get vaccinated, and I'm so sorry for that. But we will continue to improve. We'll continue to have the dialogue of how do we make this better. And if that means that the next time we go through, we stick only with those organizations that we know we've had a good working relationship with, then we can do that. But we want to make sure that access is there. And that's the important thing. It was just kind of a perfect storm of things that just didn't quite work out so well on Monday and Tuesday, but we'll keep going. Albertsons, CVS, Walmart, they still have a number of vaccinations available. Of course, your primary care physician, please talk with them. Make sure that they're aware of what's happening as well and what your requests are and needs are. They can also probably redirect, but we are anticipating having another clinic in November for most likely influenza, pneumonia, and COVID-19.
All right. So find out about those RSV and shingles and tetanus shots as well. As you said, ask your provider. So great.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Matt, for the update on that. That makes great sense. And then I had mentioned Medicare, and it is important that people realize that you can meet with unbiased Medicare counselors, meaning they don't get commission for any products that they sell. And this is a free service. This is something else that's important.
Yeah. Kristen Rowe. Access to Medicare is a state-funded and nationally funded area or organization. They come in, they're in our area, and they come in usually once a month. They'll be here this upcoming Friday. So Friday the 13th, they'll be there so that you can visit with them. They can do more than just Medicare. However, they right now especially are concentrating on that because the open enrollment, there's a term for that, and I keep forgetting that. But for Medicare, that period is now opening. I think it's October 15th through, or maybe it was October 1st through December 15th. I think it's something like that. So it is important that you, if you are eligible for Medicare, that you review what you have now and talk to someone. So yes, access to healthcare is free and unbiased, and they do have a good opportunity to be able to visit with you and point you in directions of what it is that you're looking for. And then when you're ready to purchase, Kristen Rowe and her associate Risa come in, and we can actually help schedule appointments for them. They are a broker, so they do receive payments from whomever it is that they direct to, but they direct to everyone. Anyone in the state of Nevada that can sell Medicare, Kristen and Risa can help with that. And so they'll look over what it is, or perhaps you come in with your recommendation from Access to Healthcare and say, this is what I'm looking for. They can very quickly get you where you're going. Sometimes it's as little as 15 minutes. In and out, you've gotten it taken care of, and they've saved our members a lot of money. Mm-hmm. One of our people, I was talking on the microphone right before lunch one time, and she came over and she stole the microphone, and she said, you need to go talk to her because she just saved me, I think it worked out to be $400 a year, which is pretty important and pretty significant. So
yeah, absolutely. And when you access these services, again, you can find out about vouchers, which are available too, because some senior citizens, as you said, when you're on a fixed income, anytime you hear payment, you get nervous and
absolutely.
think, but when you get your counseling, they will also dial in and let you know if you qualify for subsidy from the government. And it's going unused. If you're not using it, then it's not being used. So
I was raised very conservatively, and it was probably about 15 years ago and I was on the chamber board, and I had this epiphany of, because I was always, no, we don't need that. We don't want to accept that money from the state. We don't want to accept that money from the government, because the federal government, because, it drives our taxes up. And one of the things that hit home for me was I was looking at some statistics, and it was offered statewide, and Las Vegas ended up with like 95% of it. And I asked somebody, I said, they always get it. And they said, yeah, because they always submit it. And I said, so had we submitted? And they said, yeah, it's there. But if nobody's using it, then it goes to the people that are asking. And so that was kind of my epiphany of, oh, this grant thing. I'm understanding more and more how it works now. And so, yeah, I certainly don't want increased taxes. I certainly would love for us to have, more personal accountability. But when it's already there and they've already taken the money out and now they're giving the money back, by golly, I want as much money as possible coming back to Elko County, to the, our communities, to our senior center, because this is where we get the funding to be able to take care of things. And that's what that's why it is important that when there are opportunities, we need to go after those opportunities.
Matt McCarty is director of the Terrace at Ruby View at 1795 Ruby View Drive in Elko. And thanks for, explaining again. A lot of people in our community are conservative in nature. That's not necessarily a political viewpoint, but they're also proud. And sometimes it's hard to ask for help. But we're finding out more and more that if you visit the center, you start having meals, you make more friends, there's a lot more outreach. You're healthier. You have a better sense of well-being. Your mental health lifts, and then that helps your health, and you can stick around longer because we need you.
Absolutely.
We need everybody. Yeah, we need everybody.
And you don't always have to come just to the center. We would love to see you, but give us a call as well, and we can direct you to access to healthcare. You can go in and see them in person, not at the senior center, but at their offices, or give them a call. Same with almost all of our partners. Unless it's like a vaccination clinic from someone that's out of the area, almost always we're able to get you into the connections get you connections to the people that you need to go to. Today we had Nevada Legal Services there. Amy Gonzalez came in, and usually it's wills and end-of-life care and those type of things. But sometimes it's landlord issues. Either the senior has some property and they'd like to be able to figure out what their rights are as landlords, or they're having an issue with their own landlord. And so when we see Nevada Legal Services once every other month, and they do a great job, but they can only see 6 people at a time, we have needs that are greater than that 6 sometimes. And so it's easy for us to be able to say, you know what, we can't get you in until December. Here's their number. Give Amy a call, and hopefully she can find you a solution a little bit quicker than having to wait another 2 months.
That segues nicely into something else I found on your website at elkoseniors.org from the Terrace at Ruby View is going into these cold winter months, Matt, seniors, caregivers, family members need to know that there are several options to help supplement heating bills. And in fact, if a senior were to find themselves on the verge of homelessness, there's also an important number to call. You can actually, I didn't realize you could call 211, and there's a confidential hotline that helps seniors to find shelters or access transitional housing and mental health care, as you talked about, food, utilities. They can find help.
Absolutely, yeah. The Nevada 211 program is statewide, and it's not restricted just to seniors. It's designed for a statewide network of social services, of how do we help our citizens within the state of Nevada. Again, if we can be self-reliant and self-accountable, great, but sometimes we do everything we can right, and we still can't get to where we need to be. So this organization, it's Nevada 211, can help with that. So you give them a call, they have people there, and they can start directing you into different things. They basically have this gigantic Rolodex, for lack of a better word, of what services can be provided. And they start narrowing it down geographically, and then they can also look at it from a topic standpoint. Is this something you need on housing? Is this something you need on utilities? And don't be afraid to reach out to your utility companies either. Oftentimes the utility companies can help you for a month or 2, maybe delay things, maybe be able to get you into a program that can help you in other ways. There are other foundations that they may be aware of that they may also be able to help you. And of course, Elko County Social Services is a great avenue that we turn to as well. Oh my gosh, that staff of Kathy Jones, a public guardian, and others, they're incredible, and they get right to work, and they're right here at home too. So that's extremely helpful. They are, and they're familiar. They are in Elko County. They're familiar with what happens here. Ashley and Kathy are people that we work with and reach out to often. Well, thanks, Matt, for reminding us of that. So we usually cover a lot of territory, and I want to make sure we're getting to all the topics today, because there's always fun stuff. There's always like bingo. There is, and usually when I'm here, bingo is the night that I'm here. However, with Spring Creek Association, they needed to rearrange things a little bit. So last month they asked if we, or maybe it was early this month, I don't recall, but they asked if we could rearrange our bingo a little bit. So bingo is not in Spring Creek tonight. It will be next Wednesday night, the 18th. So come on out to Spring Creek on the 18th, and then you can come back that following Thursday, which would then be the 26th. So 18th in Spring Creek, 26th in Elko. And then we also are really excited to partner with CADV, the Committee Against Domestic Violence. And that sounds kind of weird to say we're excited to partner with, but CADV does an amazing job for us as well. And it's sad to think that we have seniors that are abused in their homes by loved ones, by caregivers, but it does happen. And we have had to have people housed at the Harbor House because of abuse for our seniors, for our members. And so we have developed a great relationship. And the reason I said I was excited is because in October, there are actually 3 opportunities for bingo, because we are going to be helping with the bingo in for the CADV as one of their fundraisers as well. And so Dina had asked me last month or the month before if they could, have bingo at the senior center. And so they are going to have bingo at the senior center. That's going to be on Friday the 20th. It's a little bit different than ours. We do a 50-50 payout. They're going to use this and for their prizes, they have donations of baskets and gifts and other things. So you won't be winning cash. Instead, you'll be winning prizes. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I hope I'm not speaking too much out of turn, but I think that also means that since it's not cash, it may mean that other people can participate as well. We are 21 and over only, but you might be able to to bring some other folks in, maybe your teenagers or something as well. But check with Dina and CADV, and I'll try to have some more information. So if you call the senior center, we'll have that information as well. But that's in about 10 days, so we're excited for that.
Yeah, I know that the CADV, their first bingo fundraiser last year did include families, so I think you're spot on, Matt, because they did have some kids raffle baskets. So as you said, it's not a cash-only game. You don't have to be 21 for the CADV fundraiser on Friday, the 20th.
Yeah, Friday the
20th. So it's a week from this coming Friday, and it is a terrific fundraiser. Again, as Matt was describing, the reason they're not doing a cash thing is because it is a fundraiser and a friend raiser, and to raise awareness because October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned the work of CADV. They do work extremely hard. They have so many community partners, and I know that Dina and her staff are very proud of the relationship they have with, of course, the Terrace and Senior Center because of how heartfelt, and people just want to help the senior population, especially if they're in a precarious or a vulnerable situation like that, Matt. So that's really important.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Awesome.
We are very happy for our partnership, because it does take a cohesive partnership to be able to support and provide for our community.
Yes, definitely. So that's bingo in a wrap, and what a busy month for bingo in October. Super cool.
Yes, ma'am.
I did want to mention that tomorrow's Hot Dog Day. Is that right?
That's right. Tomorrow is Hot Dog Day, one of our popular days. And so, come on out. It's an all beef hot dog. I think it's a 1/4 pound or something. It's a big hot dog. This is not to besmirch, Oscar Mayer or anything, but this is not, your backyard barbecue kind of
where you need 4.
Hot dog.
Yeah,
that's right. No, this fills the bun completely, and it's a big dog. And come on out. We'd love to see you. And it's one of those things that sometimes people look at the meal and they're like, I don't know, what's chicken cacciatore? Is that going to be any good? And we had a dessert, I think last week. And let me see if I can remember. Yeah, a Cantonese dessert. People are like, what is a Cantonese dessert? I don't know about that. So they don't quite want to try it necessarily. But tomorrow, hot dogs, trust me, it's just a hot dog. Come on out. We've got some chili usually with it, and some sauerkraut. So we hope that you will come and join us and see what your senior center looks like. See how busy we are, and see the vibrancy and the life that comes into our building. And it really is a lot of fun.
Experience the fun and the friendship. And, what I like about the meals at the Terrace, honestly, Matt, is it is kind of a surprise, but it almost always reminds me of the meals that I could really only get, stuff at my grandma's house because my grandma took time and cooked. I mean, that was among her primary responsibilities. And not all of us have the advantage of actually cooking meals. So you get this variety of things, like the chicken cordon bleu, you get Swedish meatballs, Salisbury steak, you might get lemon baked fish. So obviously these are nutritious meals, but you get dessert with every single meal. Who gets that anymore? You do at the Terrace. I mean, these are great. So really thank you to the kitchen staff because they come up with something different for every single day of the week based on what kind of food is available too.
That's right.
That's impressive.
And it is nutritious. We try to make it well-rounded. And there is stuff usually, anybody, if somebody says they can look at the entire menu for the entire month and not find a single thing that they like, then they're probably really specific on what it is that they're eating. But like today we have salmon. So, some people say, oh, well, the white fish, it's, I want a robust fish. Well, we've got salmon today. And as you mentioned, I mean, we've got in a given month, usually we will have 3 to 4 dishes of fish. We will have 8 to 12 dishes that are pork, 4 to 8 dishes that are beef. And we throw in pastas and potatoes and definitely always vegetables. And if there is something that you absolutely do not want on the menu, we also have 2 salads that we make every day per order, made fresh, a chef salad, which is a standard chef salad, and then a chicken apple salad, which is so good, chicken breast and walnuts or pecans, depending on what we can get in, dried cranberries on a bed of lettuce. It goes terrific with the raspberry vinaigrette. It is so great. And it's a big salad. This is not just a little tiny salad. This is a full meal salad. It's what I eat. In fact, I have to eat a half of one every day because it's so big.
So for the best lunch in town, meals are served Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 12:45. That's in the congregate dining area. If you're over the age of 60, it's a suggested $3 donation. You can join them for lunch if you're under the age of 60, and it is a $10 meal, but it does come with all of the sides and dessert, and it's just great company there at the Terrace. Super
yes,
cool.
Yes, ma'am. Amazing company.
Yes. I want to make sure we got to your topics today because it looks like, gosh, we ran over by a couple of minutes already.
We did. I'm going to try to make this really quick. One more thing, again, in a partnership that we have with Dementia Friendly Elko County. Next Wednesday on the 18th, we are going to have a screening of Still Alice. And this stars Julianne Moore, Alec Baldwin, and Kristen Stewart. It's not a brand new movie, but it is a screening that we are going to be doing. We've gotten the rights for it. Actually, Dementia Friendly has gotten the rights. And the reason why is because we want folks to understand what dementia is. And this is a great movie that capitalizes on that. This is a story of a Harvard professor who gets early onset Alzheimer's. And she has to recognize what her body is changing. And with the support of her friends and her family, she recognizes that she's still Alice, but she's different. And so this is a great movie. So please come on out next Wednesday between the hours of 1 and 3 o'clock to watch this. Support Elko County Dementia Friendly, and we would appreciate seeing you.
Oh, Matt, that's great. And you can find out more about support services if you or someone in your family is a caregiver, if you're experiencing possibly, dementia or even early onset, if you have, concerns or suspicions. This is also a great group. They will literally circle around you and lift you up and fill you in, and you won't be left alone.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt, thank you so much for all the care that you bring to the center. I'm so excited to hear about the bequest. We'll be among those breaking the local news because that's just what a generous, loving thing to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that's great. We'll spread the word. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today here on KELK. We've been talking to Matt McCarty. He is the executive director of the Terrace at Ruby View, our active and senior lifestyle center located at 1795 Ruby View Drive. You can call about anything we've been talking about to talk to a real person, 775-738-3030, or go online to elkoseniors.org.